All right, what's up, cyber traders? Welcome on back here this Monday, August 7th. Great to see Stacy with us here watching Riot. Great to see Michael here watching GoGo, and perhaps the rest of our students rejoining us here. Rod, Grant saw just a moment ago earlier. Great to see them. Great to see Ryan. Great to see you joining us back, perhaps otherwise on social media, Facebook Live, LinkedIn, Twitter, YouTube, etc. All of us here collectively here this afternoon. So, with that in mind, I'll tell you, it's been actually a pretty eventful Monday. Although, whereas I zoom in on the 5-minute chart here, you'll see the SPY graph just on the bottom of my 5-minute chart. Markets have, I guess, kind of crawled up, but utterly have gone nowhere otherwise. It's really been a lackluster day. So, in terms of the market, I should say at least. But we've had a couple of nice runners from the beginning. Of course, Fausto is all over the VTGM as he was doing the morning meeting that exploded all the way up to 26 bucks, or well over 26. My apologies there. I think that spiked up to like 56 bucks before coming back down. It kind of rounded off at like 26-ish there before right back down. So, obviously now VTGN definitely a dead trade. If you could short it by any measures, we can't really do that, I feel. But, hey, it was this. It was the PRZO actually just earlier before this in pre-market. We had the SVFD trade, the BSFC. Just before we had a couple great runners. So a couple of nice trades to go about. And then even now, the Sage going into the afternoon, looking to see this drop off lower. One of our students, Mark, is killing it on this trade. He was in earlier from pre-market. Just chatted him a moment ago. We were calling it out recently off of 1730. It held pretty nicely as resistance. So, I mean, hey, either way, this stock here, if anything, we're going to put on our watch list just to begin. Sage, it's a stock that's down over 50% still going into the afternoon. So you might think, well, it's got to be exhausted. We're going to see this squeeze back up at some point, right? Not always. And, normally for a stock this down percentage-wise, typically it's a cheaper stock. Typically it's like a smaller cap pharma that's down off of news of its own. And, I think the news that came out on this earlier, if I could actually jump to Benzinga here, Sage Therapeutics shares trading lower after the company announced FDA issued a complete response letter for the new drug application. Obviously, it didn't really seem to be in favor of them, I'd imagine. So, yeah, I mean, that's what led to the overnight drop off into the pre-market this morning. But it's easy to borrow on my platform, meaning it's shortable, right? And double check on your platform too. If it's hard to borrow for you, and just double check to see if you can get the shares. If you can't short it, there's other stocks out there. I'm just speaking to those that can short it. Well, you might ask, well, how much lower could it go? Well, take a look at the daily chart. $16.97. Yeah, it has a little ways room to drop a little bit lower there. So as far as like all-time lows, ooh, I didn't even notice this part until right now live. This is getting a little live reaction here from myself. So yeah, this thing definitely is at all-time lows. Wow. All right. So even further more of a reason to follow this as a potential short. Now, as we do this meeting, if this ends up blasting back over 17, if it flips 1730 back into support, then the odds of this making a dead cat bounce higher, it increases, of course. Then you could try and look for a short squeeze. But for right now, let's see if this can continue on the way down as we were from earlier. All right, so let's jump back to VTGN here, stock from earlier today. This one more so we'll cover in Traders Talk. I'm going to delete these lines here, these fib retracement lines, but moreover from pre-market, this thing just exploded. Fausto was about to begin the meeting here, and of course, it was looking good at the time, but out of nowhere, you just have this big $2 candle from 5 up to 7 plus, and I had to chat him right away. He was on a different trade, just going over something else very nice as well, but I was like, go back to VTGN ASAP, like instantly. And he sees that message from me mid-meeting. I never want to distract the guy. So, he sees that in the chat. He's, all right, let me jump back to this thing. And instantly, just completely exploded. Continued to before the market had opened up upwards of like 56, near 60 bucks. Hey, if you ended up holding on all the way through there, congrats, you hit the lotto. To even see this go from 5 up to 10 is a huge stretch. So, what a historic pop. What goes up eventually does come back down. And, going into the open here after Fausto finished up the meeting, I was even saying in the chat, all right, we'll see what happens at 15. That was when it was at 30. So, of course, that was like kind of just a quick thought, but this ended up dropping much lower than 15. And we were on just different trades at that point. You don't want to catch a falling knife. In fact, actually, I want to repost a comment I made earlier in terms of just catching a falling knife, because I wrote this earlier at like 8:42 in the morning. This was on a different trade. This was on the PRZO stock. But in terms of catching a falling knife, I mentioned that on that trade in pre-market. You think I'm going to be even more cautious or what on this trade here? So even if it were to have bounced, which it looks like it did, like from like 11, this could have been a great little bounce opportunity. Don't get me wrong, but we were on different trades at that point. So yeah, I mean, at this stage now, it's on the way back down. It's dead for the most part. So, maybe we'll check back in on it tomorrow morning as we do Traders Talk Live. Perhaps I'll run back into this trade. I'll definitely write it down for my side list so I don't forget tomorrow morning. But yeah, let's see what else we got here, though. SVFD, same deal here. Popped earlier, dumped back down. The BSFC. These two moved pretty well together in pre-market. The other one ended up popping first, and this one was like lagging behind, and suddenly on the last pop for the SVFD, this thing went with it. This BSFC. Both have food in their name, and both were up huge in pre-market. So, basically it was a sympathy play if they weren't just tied together entirely. But yeah, for right now, both are dead too. So what goes up comes back down. Simple lesson there. You could definitely say the same on NKTR, looking at like the long-term chart, the monthly graph here, dating back to like 17 and 18 here. Looks like this thing had a massive short squeeze back then, but dumped back down, including this nasty gap back like, in the beginning of this year, back in late Feb. Same will happen here at some point. This will eventually dump back down pretty hard on the intraday. But as far as like a day trade right now, looking at this trend, the order book, of course, we're going to throw this right away on our watch list. Just recently rebroke over $1, made a new HOD right now. So I hope there's a lot more left to this. Just be mindful of the pullback, upcoming, before the end of the day, perhaps tomorrow at some point. All right, so nice trade there. This NKTR actually really quick. Rich, were you calling this out earlier? I didn't even notice this up until now. Yeah, Rich wrote actually before the meeting started here at 2:21. He wrote NKTR trying to continue its push here over $1. So great call from him. Very mindful. That was about like 17 minutes ago, and since it's been pushing up pretty well. So nice trade. You'd say the same here on DTSS. Definitely a little thinner volume for such an inexpensive stock. Uh, I'm not even as keen to put this on the main list just yet. I'll write it down for the side list. I'll see if there's anything looking better first. MF, no go there. All right, so let's just kind of skim through quickly here. We'll kind of zip through, see what else we could add to our watch list right now. Everything looking pretty flat. PSTX, I reckon, holding support, but past there. Now, before the meeting started, we did call out MNK. So, we at least have this trade here too. MNK just broke a new high now. In fact, they actually just busted over an iceberg order at 175. Look at all the green. We'd called that out just a moment ago too before this meeting started. It was about 27,000 shares on the ask at 175, and definitely a lot more that got filled from that point too, just looking at the prints. But yeah, nice run here. Definitely going to put this on the top of our watch list here too with the NKTR. I mean, if we only have 3 stocks on the watch list, then one has to be on top, one has to be in the middle, one bottom. But you know what I'm talking about there. This one looks just as good, if not better, compared to that NKTR. All right, what else we got though? What else we got? We got ENVBs from earlier and complete pop and drop there too. That was a pretty quick one. BOIL, hey, on the swing side of things, definitely a nice move up from earlier today. It's trying to inch back up now after a small shake. So for Chuck, who I know is definitely watching this, then he's looking pretty good still on it. And NDM's flat. Had the Lab D ETF2. I mean, that one's looking perhaps even nicer compared to the BOIL ETF. It's a biotech ETF or BOIL is natural gas, so different sectors, mind you. But this actually looking pretty good as far as a trend. Good liquidity. If you have level 4, then perhaps definitely good for you to follow into the close. If you don't have level 4, I'd reckon you follow MNK more than anything. But yeah, Lab D looking pretty nice here. AAOI dumped off pretty hard earlier, so pretty much from that shakedown, it made a small bounce, but for the afternoon watch list, we're going to pass on this trade. Great sideless stock to keep in mind going forward, like practically every day, regardless of direction. Just in terms of volume, if the volume drastically dies off day over day, then you know move on from it, go on to a different trade. You need to have volume with volatility, right? So in terms of seeing this, we ended up seeing it just blow the roof off the place the last two trading days, dating back to Friday last week. Well, look at the volume. Well, of course, it's going to be less today compared to Friday after such a big run up. But I'm talking like if it goes back down to like a million, 2 million shares tomorrow, the life got sucked out of this entirely. I don't think that will happen, but that's kind of just the example I'm bringing forth. All right, so let's see if there's anything else looking just as good, if not better, on the loser side right now. Markets have gone really nowhere, just chopping around up and down here so far. So if there's anything else looking good, just let me know. Sage short still on our watch list. We started this meeting off with this trade, just looking for the move on the way down. Just needs to make this move pretty soon though. A blast over 17 could lead to a quick squeeze up to like 30 cents plus. So just be careful. QSI, another quantum stock, down huge today. But yeah, this thing took a huge hit. It is shortable on my platform here on TradeStation, but we're going to pass on it. Like the Sage more. See if there's a better short there too. I mean, in terms of direction, Fubo is as good of a short, if not better, than the other one there, the QSI. But this has just such big orders for this to break through, and it's a lot cheaper to where the ground floor is just a little closer, I reckon. So not really looking for like a 50-cent move down on this type of stock compared to Sage. That's all. So. IONQ is down earlier today. I completely didn't see that until right now, actually. So, if this was closer to the lows, I'd be a lot more interested in IONQ, but it's not really the case there. All right, so seeing if there's anything else just as far as a short, folks, just that we could work with heading into the close. IMGN, we saw from earlier, Michael had called that out, or one of our students I thought had called that out earlier. I'll tell you what, give credit right back to Rich there, and selfishly enough, Rich breaking new lows. He wrote that at 12:38, but yeah, I mean, hey, ended up bouncing. It's not really a great short now, so we'll pass on it here. All right, so let me know, folks, if you're on social media, joining us on YouTube right now. Hey, we appreciate you. We look forward to having you inside our live trading room soon enough. If you're good with your camera, fancy with your phone, as I like to say, just scan that QR code, give you access to our live trading room, have you join students like Michael, Grant, Kathleen, Phil, Stacy, John, Mark, Rod, and all of our students like there. But let me know if there's any other stocks you'd want me to look at. Trek Benzinga Pro over here. Just lastly, see if there's any other stocks that we missed out on. MNK we caught. NKTR we caught. Did I go over Tupperware? I thought I did. I don't have it on the watch list. I didn't write it down on the side list, so perhaps not. Ended up having a nice pop earlier off of 5. We'd called out the re-break over 5 just right off of 1 o'clock. It took a little while, but thankfully, and this is easy to say, Nick, like the easy to say part, but thankfully the cookie crumbled well enough to where this ended up continuing higher lows with trend, and then we got the larger pop a little while after. It took a number of minutes for that to happen, but it got the payoff, got the move up towards 550. There could be some life left to this trade as it's like trying to build a little support right now, and it's up over 7%. So on a day where we don't really have too big of a watch list, does it hurt us to put a stock that we're familiar with that's up big, that still has a chance to break new highs heading into the afternoon? It's on good volume. Never hurts us. So good reminder there. Let's see what else we got, though. This is how you know that we're getting close to the bottom of the barrel here, folks, when we're looking at PLX stocks right now. This isn't really doing much of anything. Same with this SMFL. I think that we're going to call it here, folks. Last call on BSFC. I'm getting a ping from Benzinga on this. I don't think so. On the loser side of things, TDS. Oh, yeah, back from Friday, right? Stock ended up making a huge run. I completely forgot about this, from 11 up to 15. And It's pulling back a little bit here, down over 7.5% right now. It could look to try and drop much lower, so it doesn't hurt us to put a stock like this here on our watch list too. Not a bad find on this one. PLTR, pass on that. FSLY, getting a ping from Benzinga on that. I'll pass there. All right, so folks, I think that we're going to call it. So let me jump back to the side list stocks, and then I guess we'll really do it from there. DTSS kind of just pulling back now. I don't have great confidence in seeing much continuation on this trade. I think it's going to lead more to a crash and burn. So, if it pops higher, then perhaps we'll look to call it out once we have more confidence in it. I pass on this VTGN again, like we had talked about. And then the same on the AAOI, just like both of those were kind of for tomorrow. All right, so in total, folks, in summation, we got 2, we got 4, we got 6 different stocks or tickers to work with here heading into the market close. I'll be in the chat board up until 3:30, just for all of our students here and trial members inside our live trading room. Rich will be on the mic beginning at 3 o'clock. So in about 15 or so minutes, you'll have audio commentary taking you into the final hour of the trading day. Hey, we'll work off of this watch list first, and then we'll see what we could work with afterwards. So I would start with the MNK. I would start with the TUP trade still, so long as that holds support. I would start with the NKTR, and certainly if you're good with shorts, that Sage doesn't look too bad there. It looks pretty nice. Needs to hold under 17 here going forward, but we'll see if that could. Again, though, if you're joining us on social media, hey, if you're interested in joining us, just scan that QR code with your phone right there to get access to a week-long trial. But hey, best of luck trading going into the market close for all of us here, and we'll catch back with you on Tuesday, on tomorrow morning.